I think the moral of the story for this episode is never, ever, for any reason, count yourself out, even when everyone else has. Let's talk about it. She just let me know, but they show no fish. They say you found it, but she's still gonna hold on. They say you found it, but she doesn't. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Bonnie Scotch. Thank you so much for clicking on my video today. I wanted to bring you a recap for episodes, 4 and 5 of Rupaul's Drag Race. I wanted to send my sincerest apologies to all of you who were expecting a Drag Race recap from me in the last week, but last weekend I was so out of it. I was feeling so under the weather. I couldn't do it. I was no good, okay? And I always want to attempt to put my best work out there. So I'm going to just lightly touch the last episode, okay? We have in episode 4, Q was kind of complaining about not winning because she felt she used unconventional materials in the challenge, that she had an edge up on Nymphia, when in reality, Nymphia's outfit just looked better. She ate you up, mama. The challenge was not unconventional materials. The challenge was recreating a look from the menswear that was provided. So I think sometimes people go the extra mile thinking that it will win them a prize, when in reality, you don't have to recreate the wheel. Just do what you need to do within the challenge and see how far it can take you. Something else I wanted to comment on in this very last episode, as we all know, Mirage went home, but it was really disheartening to watch because we had 2 back-to-back episodes where we know that if the queens had just done a little bit more preparation, things could have turned out differently. I really feel as though Mirage would have sent Geneva packing if she knew the words to that lip sync, because what she was doing on stage with her body, the moves, it was so fluid. It was so sickening. But in terms of the moves and the walk, somebody in the fashion world needs to snatch Mirage up. If I were a designer and I could get my hands on Mirage from my show, baby, Mirage is that one. I want to also say this about Mirage. I'm giving her flowers. She was one of my favorites on the show. And I'm also acknowledging that I don't think that she was going to win this show, but she was one of my favorites, and I wanted to see her make it to the end, at least to like the top 6, top 5, something like that. So I am very sad to see Mirage go, and Mirage, you made all of us proud. You will be missed. You are so loved. You are so sickening, and you are everything, and everything is you. So I just had to make that really clear before I jump into this next episode. Let me throw my glasses on, child. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into episode 4. The girls are teary about losing Mirage. Q gets to complaining again about placing in the top, to the point where she's crying. Girl, Q is crying about placing in the top, when in reality we are, what is this, episode 5, excuse me. We're 5 episodes in. The first 2 episodes, nobody went home, so we don't really count those. So technically we had 2 more episodes after that. We're like 2-3 episodes for real into the show, and you're complaining about not winning. This is not the Diabetes treatment where Diabetes kept placing safe and she was really upset and really feeling some type of way because she wanted to hear feedback from the judges. Do I have that right? Am I misremembering that? It was Diabetes who was always beefing, in the untucked workroom or in the untucked, behind the scenes, because she was always placing safe and she wanted to at least hear something from the judges, whereas Q is hearing from the judges every week and she's sitting up here crying. Now, Plain Jane isn't my favorite, but I did enjoy PJ reading Miss Q. Like, I just wasn't into it. Like, girl, some of these girls have been in the bottom for forever and you're sitting up here crying because you made it to the top. Like, girl, shut up. All right, so the girls have to come up with book covers for the mini challenge. Tell a little story with your look. Saphira wins, and she wins a prize of $2,000. Q looks disappointed once again. Okay? Now, the main challenge is a girl group challenge, and I always love these. I always love musicals. I love anything where the girls are singing, dancing, making up their own choreography, or making up their own lyrics. We get a true feel for their personalities. So, in team 1, we have Geneva's team. Geneva was chosen as leader of a team because she actually was the winner of the last lip sync, which I found to be very cool. So, in Geneva's group, we have Nymphia, Maya, and Megami. They are doing ASMR Lover. Plasma's group is Amanda, Tsunami, and Jane. They're doing a song called Courage to Love. Sapphire's group is Q, Dawn, and Morphine. I feel as though Amanda and Jane are really playing into this contentious exchange that they've been having. At this point, Plain Jane going after Amanda is old and overdone for me. The storyline has run stale.
The storyline for me has run stale.
I don't care about this anymore. I don't want to see it. It's just not entertaining to watch, and I feel as though because Plain Jane perceives Amanda to be weaker than her, she is making it a point to kind of go after her, and I just don't respect that. If you're going to be shady, if you're going to be this season's villain, go after everybody, Megami has a breakdown because she's triggered about being chosen last for the girl group teams, and in this moment I do kind of feel bad for Megami. I just want her to pull it together and remember that RuPaul hand selected her out of thousands of girls to be on this show, and not to let that kind of get in her head. We see that Nymphia has a language barrier, and I hate to see her lean too far into this banana shtick, because it's like, girl, don't get too lost in the banana world that we don't see who you truly are. Then we see Nymphia once again doing this in the workroom. I told y'all last week or 2 weeks ago that was wearing me out. It was wearing my nerves low and thin, and I can see it was doing it to the girls in the workroom as well. Plasma is leading the charge with the choreography. She is the theater girl, darling. She's popping out. Amanda is eating it up, and Plain Jane looks uncomfortable. Q makes a comment about Amanda potentially winning this challenge, but she also threw some shade about maybe not, because we have to see what her runway looks like. But the thing is, Q, in this situation, Amanda has what you don't have, and you have what she doesn't. So you're making fun of her, but you have no rhythm. You have 2 left feet, and we see that a little bit later in the show. Maya is the choreographer of Geneva's team. She said she is a dancer, so she has the ability to choreograph. But my thing is just because you know how to dance doesn't mean you know how to choreograph or lead, right? Because during rehearsal, what Maya was given, it kind of looked a little bit like she wasn't confident in what she was doing, and her moves weren't really translating well to me as a viewer. But that changed later, and we're going to go ahead and talk about that, right? Then we have Nymphia standing up to let us know that she was part of a K-pop group back in the day. As Nymphia stands up and takes charge of the reins, the choreography is starting to come together. And what was kind of strange to me was that Saphira felt as though this was trickery on Nymphia's behalf. I didn't feel as though the choreography was trickery. we saw what Nymphia did for the talent show. So it's surprising to me that everybody is surprised that Nymphia was turning out choreography. She very clearly is an amazing dancer. We saw that in the talent show. So I just didn't get that. The trickery in this episode was her pretending that the language barrier was the reason why she couldn't get her lyrics together. So again, we're going to touch on that a little bit later. What I do love about Nymphia, though, is that, and I think I may have mentioned this in my last review, but I love that or actually, maybe I didn't mention in my last review. I was having a conversation with Jade. Shout out to Jade of all Jades from Jade and XD. Shout out to XD too. But we were having this discussion last week where I was just admiring the fact that Nymphia came on this show and she didn't talk about any of her talents. She just came out kind of silly, being really goofy, and we didn't know that much about her besides the fact that she was naming herself the Banana Queen, right? So we had no understanding, no idea of what her skills were. She can sew, she can dance, she can turn out a song. You know, she's got good rhythm. Nymphia is the full package. And she, Saphira, and Hershey were the standouts for me in Meet the Queens. When I saw Nymphia, I was like, when I was watching Meet the Queens. And I always get a feeling from the very beginning of the show who could be a top contestant, who could potentially be a winner. And I feel as though for this season, it could be between Saphira and Nymphia. But anyway, what I was saying is that I admire that Nymphia didn't come out bragging, oh, I'm a seamstress, I'm a choreographer, I do this and that. She just let the talent speak for itself. She rolled out all of her talents and all of the things that she can do as they came up. Nobody knew anything about anything. And I love that about a queen. Who else did that? Willow Pill did that 2 seasons ago. We didn't know that little baby could dance and carry on like that, and she did. Okay? Period. That's how you do it on this show. Don't tell them nothing. Don't speak about your skills. Just come out, roll the talents, and let the chips fall where they may. Then we have Saphira's group where Morphine is choreographing. Q is walking down the runway like a Clydesdale. She clearly has no rhythm. It is so clear that she cannot dance. Megami says, let's see her sew her way out of this one. I said, clock it, Megami. Now, Nymphia was falling out as she was watching Q walk down that runway.
Don't laugh. You can't laugh.
And I rewound that so many times because I really enjoyed just seeing all of the girls' reaction to not only Q walking like a Clydesdale down the runway, but also Nymphia losing her shit. Watching this scene, it was a key to me. I thought it was really funny. The girls are back in the workroom and they are painting their faces. Q decides she wants to have a moment with Plain Jane. She decides that she wants to press PJ and is giving... she's looking for a moment. Plain Jane lets Q know that she has more respect for her than she does for Amanda. And Amanda is like, girl, what the F is your problem with me? Seriously. Saphira pauses Plain Jane and pulls her to the side in a very mother-like kind of way, trying to get to the bottom of why Plain Jane is so antagonistic. Jane seems to think that she's offering constructive criticism, but it's not constructive at all. It's just nasty. And when you're constructive, you're coming from a place of love. What you're doing is just nastiness. You are constantly picking at the same person because you perceive them to be weak or they're not as sickening as you are. And it's like, girl, who cares? There's something very special inside of Amanda that brought her to this show. And I will say this, Amanda was never my fave from the very beginning. In fact, she got on my nerves a little bit in terms of her personality. However, I will say that seeing these interactions between her and Plain Jane has really endeared me to Amanda. I love that she's sticking up for herself at every turn. She's not letting anything slide. She's not taking it laying down. And I just really like that. And anyone who I see being picked on or bullied, I'm going to naturally gravitate towards them because I don't like to see that happen to anybody. Shout out to Amanda and her personality and kind of just turning things around and endearing me to her. Not that I'm anybody for her that she needs to be winning over or anything like that. What I'm just saying is that her fight, her tenacity, her willingness to just be like, F you. You know what I mean? Like, and just reading at every turn, I'm living for Amanda's attitude and her personality and the way she will get somebody together. I love that about her. So for Star Baby, this is Saphira's group. The standouts were Saphira and Dawn. Now, I feel like it took Saphira a little while to get into her groove because at first I thought Saphira was Tsunami. She didn't really stand out at first, but then towards the latter part of her verse, she started to come alive. And I feel as though Saphira had the best verse in her group. Dawny, Miss Dawniana, she ate down. She looked really natural doing her choreography, and I loved it. I really enjoyed this group. And Dawn with her little alien rap was just cute as hell. Plasma's group did The Courage to Love. Plasma, I thought, did a pretty good job. I love her outfit. It was very Mugler-esque. It was sickening. So shout out to Plasma, okay? Amanda had great energy, but her wig was in the way. That was what I wrote down here. But Amanda sounds great. She sounds really good. You can tell that she has a musical background and that what she said is true to form. Next up, I have Tsunami. Tsunami surprised me in this one. I didn't have any expectations, but she looked and she sounded great. She looked effortless as she did the choreography. Everything was presented in a very laid back and mellow way, but it was kind of sexy and natural at the same time. I don't know if I'm really explaining that in the way that I want to portray it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, Tsunami's performance was just effortless. It was like pussy, sexy, very like, but she wasn't trying too hard at the same time. Do you get what I'm saying? Next up, we have Plain Jane. I felt like Plain Jane did really well. Her verse was really good. Geneva's group. Okay, let's talk about Geneva's group, honey. This actually made me emotional, and I rewound this quite a few times to watch all of their performances because it seemed as though their group was not going to do well, and they did the best. They turned it out. Maya was so hood. She was so Dade County. She was so Miami. And it reminded me so much of Trina. It put me in the mind of like late 90s, early 2000s girls from the South. You know what I'm saying? It sounded current, but it also was a nod to the old school. And when you can play with nostalgia and also keep your sound current, there's something very special about an artist who can do that, right? So Maya turned it out with the Maya. The ad-libs that these girls did on this song, perfection. Geneva did a great job. We knew that Geneva was going to turn it out. We seen what she can do. Now Miss Megami made me emotional. Just knowing the feelings and emotions that she experienced previously in this episode and just seeing her turn it out in the way that she did, I was so proud of Megami. Megami, you really represented. You should never be counted out, and you should never count yourself out. It was just nice to see Megami take the reins in this situation and not be defeated by being chosen last. I know everyone's gonna act so tough and so strong and like, oh well, you know, she's a grown woman, she's a grown man, and she should be over it, whatever. But you never know when situations like this are going to trigger you. And it's up to you to believe in yourself and to have that grace with yourself. And I'm just really proud of Megami. So shout out to you, Mama, for turning this out. Now for Miss Nymphia. I put Nymphia ate that. The moves, the verse, everything. Nymphia turned it out, y'all. She did some shit up there that was okay. You know what I mean? I expect big things from Nymphia. She's really one to watch outside of Saphira. And in terms of what she has put out there so far, it's been pretty flawless. You know, even her safe performance with what was it called last week for RPR Live? The barbershop quartet. I thought she did pretty good, even to be safe. You know, so again, Nymphia, she's taking it.
She's taking it.
So it goes without saying that Geneva's group was by far my favorite girl group on not only this episode, but I would have to say on the show period. I don't think anything tops that, what I saw tonight. I may have to go back and relive some girl group moments, but I feel like this was that one. All right, so the runway is Faster Pussycat Wig. So this is a pussycat wig runway. My top two is Plasma, who is doing this Hermes Greek messenger look. This is my favorite look from Plasma. I think this is the best she's ever looked, period. I love this playful and conceptual direction that she went down. I love the ears and the headphones as wings. Something about that was really clever and really fly. I also loved Nymphia with this Taiwanese garb. The red finger wave wig to the bald cap. It was similar to Sapphire's, but even though they were similar, it was still in a different world. So we get that they were both villains, but they did it in their own way. It just didn't feel as though they were duplicates of one another, you know? And my bottom look, I have to give it to A Mandatory Meeting. I just felt as though the makeup was so incorrect. This big squiggly line across her face, trying to mimic a robin's egg. It just made her look like she has a beard. And one of her biggest problems this season is getting the makeup together. So it just made her face look even more harsh and more boxy than it needed to. So anyway, now we're at the lip sync between Amanda and Q. I really felt as though Amanda was eating Q up in the first half, and then the next thing you know, Amanda's skirt was above her waist. I feel as though when you come on this show, something that you need to know when you lip sync is that your wig needs to stay on your head. Your stockings need to be pulled all the way up. I feel as though your skirt should not be rolling up or down. Your shoes should not be coming off. There are certain things that women don't do when they are performing, right? Drag is the art of female impersonation. Bitches' wigs don't be flying off their head, and bitches' skirts don't be like coming up above their waist. So it just looked crazy, and Q took this one, and I was ready for Q to go home. I feel like a lot of people go for Q, but I don't. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't get it. I'm not here for it. Like, she's just not my judge. She's very talented on a sewing machine. I'll give her that, but I don't care. I don't want to see her anymore. No shade, no shade, but she's just not for me. I would have rather see Amanda on this show. There was something about her personality. There was an energy that she brought to the workroom that was actually really fierce, even though I didn't see it for her in the very beginning either. I am a mandatory meeting fan. You have recruited me, Miss Amanda, and I hate to see you go, and you will be missed. Just know that. But anyway, you all, that was the episode. Get down in the comments with me. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Who do you have in your top? Who's in your bottom? Who would you love to see make it to the, say there's a top 4, who would you put in your top 4? And yeah, I'll see y'all for the next one. Peace.
I've been all in my phone, I got options, and I don't wanna tell you to drop it.